The ancient wisdom of the Shaolin philosophy teaches us that much of human suffering is self-created. At the heart of this teaching lies a simple yet profound truth. Attachment is suffering. To understand this, one must first reflect deeply on the nature of attachment and how it silently shapes our thoughts, emotions, and ultimately, the quality of our lives. From the moment we enter this world, we are conditioned to attach. We attach to our family, our name, our identity, and as we grow, we attach to objects, ideas, goals, and people. On the surface, attachment seems natural, even necessary. We form bonds with those we love, we strive for success, we build dreams for the future. Yet, beneath this natural process lies an invisible chain that begins to bind our happiness to external circumstances, and the more we attach, the more we fear losing what we have or not obtaining what we desire. Attachment turns the mind into a restless servant. It creates an endless cycle of craving and aversion. We crave what we don't have, and we fear losing what we do have. When we succeed, we immediately attach to the success, fearing its loss. When we fail, we attach to the disappointment, reliving the pain over and over again. The mind becomes a battleground of I want and I don't want, constantly swinging between fleeting joy and lasting dissatisfaction. In this cycle, true contentment remains just beyond reach. The Shaolin masters understood this deeply through their meditation and discipline. They observed that the more one clings to any particular outcome, person, or identity, the more one suffers when those attachments are threatened or removed. Life, by its very nature, is impermanent. Everything is in a constant state of change. Our bodies change, our relationships evolve, our careers shift, and even the world itself is in constant motion. To tie our happiness to things that are impermanent is to tie it to sand in the wind. Inevitably, the wind blows, the sand scatters, and we are left empty-handed. Consider for a moment how often we attach our self-worth to external markers. We tell ourselves, I will be happy when I have more money, or I will be enough when I am admired, or I will finally feel peace when I have reached this specific goal. In doing so, we push our happiness into the future, always at the mercy of factors beyond our control. Even when we achieve what we desire, the satisfaction is temporary. Soon the mind grows restless again, attaching to the next goal, the next desire, the next fear. This endless chasing is the root of suffering. But attachment does not mean indifference. The Shaolin way does not teach us to become cold or emotionless. It teaches us to engage fully with life, to care deeply, but not to cling. You can love someone without being attached to them. You can pursue success without tying your identity to it. You can dream without becoming a prisoner of your dreams. This is the subtle art of detachment, to participate fully in life without becoming entangled by it. Imagine holding a bird in your hand. If you squeeze it tightly, you harm it. If you hold it too loosely, it may fly away. The wise hand knows the balance, firm enough to hold, gentle enough to allow freedom. Similarly, in life, detachment allows you to enjoy relationships, experiences, and possessions without being consumed by fear or desire. You love, but you are not devastated when life changes. You succeed, but you are not shattered by failure. You live, but you are not enslaved by the conditions of life. One of the most profound insights of Shaolin philosophy is the understanding that everything we cling to is transient. Fame fades, beauty fades, wealth shifts, relationships change, even our bodies are temporary homes. The more we resist this truth, the more we suffer. Resistance to impermanence is the hidden cause of so much human distress. We mourn not only when things end, but we often suffer during their presence, because we fear their ending. Consider the example of anxiety. Much of anxiety arises from our attachment to a specific outcome. We fear the unknown because we are attached to certainty. We worry about the future because we are attached to control. We suffer heartbreak because we are attached to permanence in a world where everything is transient. To free ourselves from these chains, we must learn to see things as they are. Everything arises and passes away. No moment lasts forever. And within this impermanence lies a hidden freedom. The final poem in When you loosen your grip on life, you paradoxically begin to enjoy it more. When you stop clinging, you can finally breathe. The less you care about controlling every outcome, the lighter your heart becomes. This doesn't mean you stop striving or loving. It means you stop suffering when things don't go as planned. You act without attachment to results. You give without expectation of return. You love without fear of loss. This is the secret to inner freedom. In the Shaolin Temple, daily meditation is not just about sitting quietly. It is about training the mind to observe its attachments. As the mind wanders, grasping after desires, recoiling from discomfort, the practitioner gently brings it back to the present. Through this daily discipline, one gradually weakens the chains of attachment. You learn to watch thoughts without being pulled by them, to witness emotions without being consumed by them. Over time, the mind finds stillness, and with stillness comes peace. The modern world, however, pulls us in the opposite direction. We are constantly bombarded by messages that encourage attachment to success, to appearances, to validation through social media, to material possessions. The advertising industry thrives by feeding our attachments. We are told that we need more, that we must become more, that we must always chase the next thing. No wonder so many people feel anxious, dissatisfied, and restless, even amidst abundance. The Shaolin wisdom cuts through this illusion by reminding us happiness is not found in the next thing. It is found in the absence of craving. True freedom, the Shaolin master, Shi Heng Yi teaches, is not the ability to have everything you want. It is the ability to be content even when you don't. It is the ability to find stillness in the midst of chaos. It is the ability to walk lightly without being weighed down by the burdens of attachment. The less you care about things that do not nourish your soul, the freer and happier you become. This does not mean living without goals or ambition. The Shaolin way is not passive. It is full of discipline, purpose, and action. But every action is guided by a deeper understanding that the outcome is not within our ultimate control. We can prepare, but we cannot guarantee. We can act with integrity, but we cannot dictate results. When we accept this, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Imagine how different your daily life could be if you practiced this. How much lighter would your mind feel if you stopped attaching your self-worth to achievements? How much more joyful would your relationships be if you loved without clinging, trusted without fear, and accepted without resistance? How much peace would you carry if you let go of the need for life to unfold exactly as you wish? To live this way requires practice. It requires awareness. Every time you notice your mind attaching, whether to a thought, a person, or an outcome, pause. Breathe. Remind yourself nothing is permanent, and that's okay. The tree loses its leaves, but it blooms again. The river flows forward, never holding on to the water that passes. So too must we learn to let life flow through us without clinging. There is immense power in this letting go. When you stop clinging, you open yourself to possibilities you could never have imagined. You become resilient, adaptable, and calm amidst uncertainty. You find joy in the simple moments because you are no longer lost in the chase for something more. You begin to live fully, deeply, presently. And so the teaching remains. Attachment is suffering. The less you care, not in apathy, but in wisdom, the freer you become, the happier you become, the more you align with the natural flow of life. The mind at peace is the greatest wealth. The heart unburdened is the highest happiness. And the spirit unchained is the ultimate freedom. As the Shaolin masters have shown for centuries, true strength is not found in control, but in surrender. True happiness is not found in accumulation, but in letting go. To carry less is to walk farther, to cling less is to fly higher, and to love without attachment is to love with your whole heart, without fear, without chains. In the end, nothing lasts. And that's not tragic, it's beautiful. Because when you understand this, you finally learn how to live, not in constant fear of loss, but in profound gratitude for every moment that arises. You live with an open hand, an open heart, and an open mind. And in this openness, you find the happiness that was never outside of you, but always within. One of the most profound teachings that has echoed through the ancient walls of Shaolin temples for centuries is the understanding that true happiness, true power, and true freedom are born not from controlling the external world, but from mastering the internal one. This teaching, inner mastery over outer control, is not just philosophy, it is the very heart of what it means to live a balanced, resilient, and fulfilled life. It is the key to peace in a world that is ever-changing, unpredictable, and often beyond our control. From the moment we awaken each day, the outside world begins to make its demands on us, expectations, pressures, responsibilities, unforeseen challenges. These external factors seem endless and overwhelming. It is easy to fall into the trap of believing that if we could only control everything and everyone around us, we could finally be happy. We tell ourselves, if only people would act the way I want, if only circumstances would align perfectly, if only things would stay the way I like them, then I would be at peace. But this is the first illusion that leads to suffering. The Shaolin masters observed through meditation, training, and daily life that the external world is inherently unstable. It is the nature of life to change. Seasons shift, people come and go, fortunes rise and fall. To build one's sense of peace or happiness on something so unstable is like building a house on sand. No matter how much effort you invest, the foundation is weak, and when the inevitable storm arrives, everything collapses. The mind, if tied to external control, is forever anxious, forever tense, forever grasping at something that can never be fully held. This is why the Shaolin path emphasizes turning inward. Inner mastery means recognizing that while we cannot control everything around us, we can learn to control our reactions, our thoughts, our emotions, and our choices. It is not the storm outside that destroys a person, it is the storm within. When you master your mind, you can walk through chaos and remain calm. You can face uncertainty and remain centered. You can encounter loss and still find peace. One of the greatest misconceptions that fuels human frustration is the belief that happiness comes from the outside. This belief drives people to chase endlessly. More success, more approval, more possessions, more control over their surroundings. Yet even when these external desires are achieved, the sense of fulfillment is fleeting. The mind immediately shifts to the next concern, the next desire, the next fear. External control, even when achieved temporarily, never guarantees lasting peace. This is because the true source of peace is internal, not external. Imagine for a moment standing beside a perfectly still lake. The surface is smooth like glass, reflecting the sky above. This stillness is like the mind when it is undisturbed. Now imagine throwing stones into the lake. Each stone represents an external disturbance, an argument, a missed opportunity, a disappointment, an unexpected change. The ripples spread, the surface breaks, and the reflection disappears. If you were to chase every stone, trying to prevent them from touching the water, you would exhaust yourself endlessly, yet the ripples would still come. The only way to maintain the stillness is to cultivate the mind itself, to stop identifying so deeply with every ripple, every disturbance. Inner mastery is not about eliminating emotion. It is not about becoming cold, robotic, or detached from life. On the contrary, it is about feeling everything deeply, but not being ruled by those feelings. It is about learning to respond rather than react. In the Shaolin tradition, martial arts training is not just physical, it is mental and spiritual. The purpose is not just to defend oneself from physical attacks, but to defend the mind from its own destructive patterns. When a student trains, they are taught to control not only the body, but the breath, the focus, the intention. This control of the inner landscape is what allows a master to remain unshaken in the face of adversity. The modern world, however, pulls people away from this understanding. We are conditioned to seek quick fixes, to believe that changing circumstances will bring us happiness. We are told that if we look a certain way, achieve a certain status, own certain things, or control the opinions of others, we will be content. And yet, despite achieving these things, many find themselves empty, restless, anxious. This is because our control is limited, fragile, and temporary. Inner mastery, on the other hand, is limitless. It does not depend on circumstances. It does not rise and fall with the tides of life. It is the steady flame that burns even in the darkest night. And this mastery is accessible to every human being, regardless of their situation, their wealth, their status, or their environment. The Shaolin monks, living in simplicity, surrounded by nature, demonstrate that peace is not purchased, it is practiced. They live by the discipline of the mind, the body, and the breath, and through this discipline, they achieve an unshakable tranquility. To begin cultivating inner mastery, one must first become aware of how often the mind seeks control over the uncontrollable. Notice the moments of frustration when things don't go your way. Notice the anger when someone disagrees with you. Notice the anxiety when the future is uncertain. In each of these moments, the mind is grasping at something outside of itself. The key is to gently bring the attention back inward. Ask yourself, can I control this? If not, can I control my response to it? Breathing becomes an anchor in this practice. The breath is always within you. When the mind becomes agitated by the outside world, returning to the breath brings you back to the present moment. It reminds you that while the waves may crash above, there is always a deeper stillness below. The Shaolin masters teach that the breath is the bridge between body and mind, between the external and the internal. Master the breath, and you begin to master the self. Inner mastery also requires humility. It requires letting go of the ego's need to dominate, to always be right, to always have its way. It means accepting that we are part of a vast, interconnected world where not everything revolves around us. This humility allows space for patience, for kindness, for compassion, toward oneself and others. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you can finally focus on what is truly within your power, your own thoughts, your own actions, your own attitude. One of the most powerful examples of inner mastery can be seen in how one deals with failure. In the outer world, failure is often seen as something shameful, something to be feared and avoided. But to the Shaolin mind, failure is simply part of the path. It is not the external failure that matters. It is the internal response. Does one become bitter? Does one give up? Or does one see the lesson, remain centered, and move forward with resilience? Inner mastery turns every setback into an opportunity for growth. It allows one to remain calm even in defeat, to carry on without the heaviness of despair. Similarly, inner mastery transforms relationships. When you no longer need others to behave a certain way to feel at peace, you bring a different energy into every interaction. You listen more deeply because you are not attached to being right. You love more freely because you are not attached to control. You forgive more easily because you are not imprisoned by resentment. This shift creates deeper, more authentic connections with others, based on mutual respect and acceptance, rather than control and expectation. The Shaolin path also teaches that mastering the mind is not something achieved overnight. It is a lifelong journey. Just as a sword must be forged through fire and repeated hammering, the mind must be trained through consistent practice. There will be moments of failure, of anger, of slipping back into old patterns. But each moment is an opportunity to return, to try again, to realign with the principles of inner mastery. In every moment you have a choice. to react from the conditioned mind, seeking control over what is external, or to respond from the deeper self, which is calm, aware, and free. This choice, repeated over time, reshapes the very structure of the mind. It creates new patterns of peace, resilience, and strength. And slowly, the need for auto-control fades. What remains is a quiet confidence, a steady heart, an unshakable presence. Perhaps the greatest freedom that inner mastery provides is freedom from fear. So much of human suffering is driven by fear. Fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of judgment. But when you realize that you cannot control the external world and that you don't need to, the fear loses its power. You learn to meet life as it is, with courage and equanimity. You walk through the world not as a victim of circumstances, but as the master of your own mind. This is the path of the Shaolin warrior, not a warrior who fights battles outside, but a warrior who conquers the self. The outer world may remain unpredictable, chaotic, and ever-changing, but the inner world becomes a sanctuary of peace. And from this sanctuary, you can face any challenge, any adversity, any storm without losing your center. The less you try to control the world outside, the more you gain control over your own inner state. And in this mastery lies the secret to happiness, to freedom, and to a life lived with purpose and joy. It is not the outer noise, but the inner silence that carries the greatest power. It is not the force over others, but the command over oneself that reveals the true strength of the human spirit. And when you finally let go of the need to control, you step into a life where peace is no longer conditional, but ever present, unwavering, and fully alive within you. There is an ancient truth that echoes across spiritual traditions. From the Shaolin monasteries of China to the mountaintop hermitages of India, from the words of Stoic philosophers in ancient Rome to the teachings of modern psychology. Peace and happiness arise not from grasping, but from letting go. The power of letting go is one of the most misunderstood yet transformative teachings available to the human heart and mind. It is simple to say, but profoundly difficult to live. And yet, those who understand this teaching and who practice it consistently discover that true happiness is not found in holding on, but in releasing. End quote. And from childhood, we are taught to accumulate knowledge, possessions, achievements, accolades, relationships, opinions, control. We are taught that success is defined by how much we can hold, how much we can gain, how tightly we can secure our place in the world. And so we grow up attaching ourselves to everything around us, our identities, our dreams, our fears, our possessions, our status. We believe that by holding on tightly, we can protect ourselves from pain, from failure, from the unpredictable nature of life. But what we do not realize is that in our clenching, we create our own suffering. The more we cling, the heavier our hearts become. The more we grasp, the more we fear loss. The more we try to control, the more we feel controlled by the very things we seek to possess. The Shaolin masters, through years of discipline, observation, and meditation, came to see that letting go is not weakness but strength. It is not giving up but gaining freedom. It is not apathy but clarity. Letting go means releasing the false belief that we can control the uncontrollable. It means understanding that change is the nature of all things. It means accepting that loss is inevitable, but suffering is optional. It means realizing that by loosening our grip, we make space for peace. At the heart of this teaching is the understanding of impermanence. Everything we know, everything we see, everything we experience is in a constant state of flux. No moment is identical to the next. No person remains the same from day to day. Even the mountains, seemingly eternal, are slowly shifting, eroding, transforming. Yet the human mind resists this truth. We crave permanence in an impermanent world. We try to freeze time through memory, to lock love in place through possession, to hold success forever through control. And when these things inevitably change, we suffer, not because of the change itself, but because of our unwillingness to let go. Consider how much mental and emotional energy is spent dwelling on the past, on mistakes, regrets, old wounds, lost opportunities. The mind replays these memories trying to change what cannot be changed, trying to hold on to what has already passed. This clinging becomes a source of quiet torment. Or consider how much anxiety arises from the future, worrying about what might happen, fearing what could go wrong, attaching happiness to a desired outcome that has not yet arrived. This too is suffering born of clinging. Letting go does not mean forgetting the past or refusing to plan for the future. It means no longer allowing those times to dominate the present moment. Letting go also means releasing attachment to identity. So many people carry around rigid stories of who they are. I am not good enough. I am a failure. I am superior. I am unlovable. These identities, often formed in childhood or through painful experiences, become prisons. They dictate behavior, limit potential, and create endless cycles of suffering. When we let go of these stories, when we stop defining ourselves by past wounds or future aspirations, we return to the simple truth that we are more than any label. We are fluid, evolving, alive. One of the deepest attachments people carry is the need for control. The need to control situations, outcomes, the behavior of others, even the opinions of others. This need creates immense stress because in reality so little is within our control. We cannot control the weather. We cannot control the economy. We cannot control the thoughts of other people. We cannot control the passage of time. What we can control, however, is how we respond. Letting go of control does not mean becoming passive or careless. It means recognizing where our control ends and where surrender begins. It means doing our best while releasing the outcome. It means trusting that life, in its vast complexity, does not always need to unfold according to our personal script. Another dimension of letting go lies in relationships. Human connections are often fraught with attachment, expectation, and fear. We hold on tightly to people, sometimes out of love, sometimes out of loneliness, sometimes out of habit. We expect them to behave in ways that align with our needs, and when they don't, we feel betrayed, angry, or hurt. Letting go in relationships means allowing others to be as they are. It means loving without trying to possess. It means recognizing that people change, and sometimes the healthiest act of love is to release, not to hold. This does not diminish love, it purifies it. True love is not clingy, it is spacious. Letting go also applies to material things. In a world driven by consumerism, people often tie their identity and self-worth to possessions. The house, the car, the brand, the bank account, these become symbols of status, success, even happiness. But material things are, by their nature, transient. They can be lost, stolen, broken, devalued. When self-worth is attached to material objects, it becomes fragile. Letting go does not mean rejecting comfort or beauty. It means no longer defining oneself by these external measures. It means understanding that who you are is independent of what you own. The practice of letting go also involves forgiveness. Holding on to resentment, anger, or bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. When we hold on to past hurts, we chain ourselves to the very events or people we wish to escape. Forgiveness is not about condoning harm. It is about freeing oneself from the weight of the past. It is a radical act of letting go, of choosing peace over vengeance, freedom over bitterness. The Shaolin approach to letting go is deeply practical. It is cultivated through meditation, where one observes thoughts without grasping. It is honed through physical training, where attachment to comfort, fear, and ego must be released. It is expressed through daily living, where simplicity and mindfulness teach that happiness does not come from adding more, but from needing less. The Shaolin monks let go not by withdrawing from life, but by engaging with it. From a place of inner stillness, they act without attachment to results. They give without expectation. They live without clinging to outcomes. The modern world, however, reinforces the opposite habit. We are encouraged to hold on, to possessions, to grudges, to identities, to certainty. We are taught that letting go is weakness or loss. And yet, the more tightly we hold, the more we suffer. Letting go is an act of courage. It requires facing the truth that nothing lasts forever. It requires trusting in something deeper than control. It requires faith, not in a religious sense, but in the basic rhythm of life itself. The paradox of letting go is that it often brings us what we seek. When we let go of the need to be liked, we become more authentic and are naturally more loved. When we let go of the fear of failure, we act more boldly and often succeed. When we let go of clinging to outcomes, we experience more joy in the journey itself. Letting go is not resignation, it is liberation. It is living life with open hands, open eyes, and an open heart. To practice letting go is to practice returning to the present moment. Each time the mind races to the past or the future, we gently bring it back to now. Each time we catch ourselves clinging to an outcome, we pause, breathe, and release. Each time we notice tension, physical or emotional, we inquire, what am I holding on to? And then we let it go, again and again, as many times as it takes. It is not a one-time event, but a continuous process, a way of life. Letting go also brings immense peace because it teaches us acceptance. We stop fighting reality. We stop resisting what is. Acceptance does not mean liking every situation, but it means recognizing the futility of mental struggle against what cannot be changed. This acceptance allows space for grace, for new possibilities, for deeper wisdom. Ultimately, the power of letting go is the power of freedom. When we release the need to control, the need to possess, the need to be right, the need to cling, we discover a vast spaciousness within. We become lighter, freer, more alive. We begin to move through life with ease, like water flowing around rocks, adapting, changing, but never breaking. This is the heart of the Shaolin teaching. The less you care, not in the sense of apathy, but in the sense of release, the freer you become. The more you let go, the happier you get. The world remains the same, but your relationship to it transforms. You begin to see clearly. You begin to live fully. You begin to awaken not to a different world, but to a different way of being in the world. We enter. Letting go is the path to peace. It is the art of freedom. It is the way back to yourself. And in this letting go, you will find not loss, but everything you have been seeking all along.